it's easy. And it could, like I said, it took me maybe an hour to pull everything together. If you're computerized with your financial records, then you just run a profit and loss or a balance sheet, and you got all the info you need there. So it was real easy, and I would highly recommend churches to do it. Our church is a small church. By Northwest standards, we're about normal, I would say. But our building had fallen into disrepair. There was no maintenance being done on it. And so I began praying, and our church began praying, how are we going to be able to do this? I really feel that the building, though it's not the church as we know it, the community looks at it and sees that as the church and sees that as God's place. And if it's not looking good, then their impression of God's not going to be good. So I really felt like we needed to get this done. So we got together, and we had a special Let's Give day, and we got in quite a bit of money and was able to finish paying off all that had already been done. And so now we just have to worry about the paint. And so we started looking. We got the grant. We started looking around, and the Northwest Baptist Convention has, their foundation allowed us to receive a loan for $30,000, which is about what we needed. So with that grant, when it comes in, we can pay that loan down, by $10,000. And then Randy Adams, our exec with the Northwest Convention, sent out an email that he talked with Bobby here and told us about the employee retention credit, tax credit. And once I saw that, I immediately jumped on and said, let's see what this does for us. And went to the webinar you had, which was really informational. I mean, you said this is what it's going to look like, and it's a snapshot of the page. It was just exact, so you knew exactly what to do, and put that all together. Got it sent in. The ERC specialist within 2 days told me they were processing it. In about 3 days, they said, congratulations, you're going to be receiving $9,045. And to me, that was just amazing. I didn't know how much we were going to get. We only have one employee here during COVID, but that 9,000, we're going to receive it, and it's going to go right back to that loan. So we went from a $30,000 loan down to a $10,000, which is very doable for us to finish paying off that out a lot sooner than we expected. The thing that impressed me the most, Bobby, is that God has provided everything. He provided the money to start the work. He's provided the funds for us now to finish the work. And I really believe that as we finish this and begin looking at how we can have an impact in our community, He's going to provide everything that we need. So I've really been encouraged by God's provision.
Alan, tell me for a moment how you see this tying into fulfilling the mission that you have as a church in your community.
Our community is what you could call it economically distressed. That tax refund is going to help us to be able to open up our doors now to reach the community and provide the tutoring and the job fairs and those kind of things that we really need.
Yeah, that's exciting to know you're going to be able to connect, and that was a barrier for you before. Yeah. It's kind of like you said a while ago, and I like that. We know the building's not the church; people are the church, yeah. But the community, their perception oftentimes is, well, that is the church, because they don't understand that, and so now you're going to be able to have a very positive reflection. Right. For Christ's message and the right. testimony that you want to give in that community, yeah. As well. Let me ask you this. This is basically a payroll credit. You've paid in payroll in the past. It covers 6 quarters of 2020 and 2021. Just basically how you were impacted during the COVID pandemic crisis. you guys receive back $9,045, or that's what your credit is, and we'll receive that from the IRS once they finish processing it. Was it worth your time to go through this process to get the payroll credit?
Definitely. We didn't take the PPP when it came out because I just didn't feel like we needed it. And our people really were faithful through COVID and giving online and mailing their tithes and checks in. But when I heard about that credit, and to see how you qualify, we didn't qualify because we lost income, but we qualified because we had to shut down all that time and were partially shut down during that time. And then we had to get equipment that would enable us to do the online streaming of our worship services and our Bible studies. And so we were heavily impacted by that and partially impacted, and I'm not sure exactly how much it helped. And I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to get anything because it's based on income, but it's not. And to me, that was the really easy part, is to show how we were shut down. And then all the information that the ERC specialist needed, I put that together probably within an hour and was able to get that all to them. So it was really easy process, and it's well worth the effort.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because in the beginning, before all of the amendments were made to the legislation for this, there really was just one primary way to qualify, and the qualification was very narrow. Only a couple of quarters qualified. But now, after these amendments, they have opened up, just like you said, supply chain disruption. Churches that may be doing a renovation like you were, or building a building or something, might be income reduction in income, but a lot of churches didn't suffer that, and so they felt like they didn't qualify. But where a lot of churches did qualify, like yours, were because of mandates, either local, county, state, federal, different things of that sort that required you to change your way of operating.
Right.
And all of those things are considered an impact. And so that's what helped you guys to qualify, but actually helps a lot of churches to qualify, because if you had to change, when you were doing Bible study, you couldn't do your Sunday school as you did normally. If you had to move things to Zoom setting instead of, and to be honest, you as a pastor, when you look at the ministry of the church as a pastor, you represent the church, right? And you're out there doing ministry in the community. There are many communities across the country where the pastor couldn't go to the hospital when someone was sick. He couldn't make personal visits. You couldn't do your ministry the way you normally did. Same thing with home visits, people who are on hospice. I mean, there's just a long list of things that a pastor normally does, because ministry is face to face. It's relational most of the time. And so when a church, it's not about the worship services. The worship services are a significant part of what a church does. And many churches did have to go online and make those adjustments, which is a huge piece of that. But just think of all the other things you normally do the way you did in 2019 before the pandemic hit, and how you had to change your operation. And that is how it helps you qualify to receive this, basically a payroll credit, to get it back. Let me ask you another question. What would you say to other churches, large or small, other pastors, other financial leaders in their churches, about pursuing this as a possibility, if they had any impact at all from the COVID pandemic in their area? What would be your word to them?
Do it. It's easy to fill out the paperwork. You don't have to do a lot of the work when dealing with the IRS and all their regulations and stuff.
You found it pretty streamlined and kind of simple?
Yeah. And so, just the website is easy to follow. It's easy to even check to see if you qualify, that initial estimate. And then you go through the process of filling it, all the paperwork out. It's all done online, so you don't have to pull stuff together and snail mail it and that kind of thing. It's easy. And it could, like I said, it took me maybe an hour to pull everything together. If you're computerized with your financial records, then you just run a profit and loss or a balance sheet, and you got all the info you need there. So it was real easy, and I would highly recommend churches to do it.
When I found out this was a possibility and that all these restrictions had now been lifted where churches could get it as a credit against their payroll, my thinking was I would much rather churches get this and be able to use it for mission and ministry, something to expand and advance the kingdom rather than just the local car dealership or whatever.
Yeah.
Nothing against car dealerships, understand, but
Yeah.
but I'd rather the kingdom be able to utilize that and use it. So I'm glad
Right.
you guys are going to, and hopefully a lot of others will as well. Alan, thank you for sharing your story. Any final thing you would say to churches or others who are looking at this?
The only thing I would say is just check it out, investigate, and see your initial estimate of what you might be able to get. And if you need the money, and most churches do, then I would say go for it.